Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up for you today with Brent Beaird and Ben Troupe. Talking a lot of college football. Before we get to that, if you missed it last night in the NBA playoffs, the 76ers, the Hawks, and the Jazz all win their series and move on. The Mavericks take a 3-2 lead over the Clippers. And then tonight, Portland and Denver play. The Nuggets lead that series 3-2. Lakers are looking at elimination tonight. They're down 3-2 to the Phoenix Suns. And then let's see what happened in hockey last night if you missed it. The Canadians beat the Jets. They take a 1-0 lead. And the Colorado Avalanche win 3-2. They're up 2-0. Also, congratulations to 3 Gator softball players, Charlotte Eccles, Hannah Adams, and Elizabeth Hightower, all named All-Americans. Now let's head on to the Titan More hotline. We're going to talk to our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, I'm doing well. It's always great to be with you. We have more magazines out, and we have a very important vote today by the SEC presidents and chancellors coming up after a while.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the vote. Let everybody know what they're voting on.
Well, we've been waiting on this for quite a while, but today, from what we understand, is going to be the vote by the SEC presidents and chancellors about the new transfer rule. And this is the it's not the inter, but the intra transfer that players can transfer from one school to the other without penalty. In other words, they don't have to sit out a year. So we don't know exactly what time this is going to be, but I believe it's going to be a virtual situation, and they will probably announce something later on. But the reason we have not seen more within the SEC as far as this being officially on the roster is for this very reason. That is, not come out with the official decision, but that will be today, and it's frankly good to go ahead and get that started. Now, Shane, we think this will pass. Now, will there be some negative votes? Very possible. If some of these presidents and chancellors want to make some kind of a statement by doing so, but we think probably after talking to athletic directors and their coaches and SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey that this will pass because the SEC does not want to be the only conference that does not rubber stamp this decision and hamstring themselves somehow in recruiting.
Yeah. So, Brent, I assume you have bought all your magazines at Publix?
I have got, so far, Athlon SEC edition, Athlon National edition, and the Lindy's National edition. The Lindy's SEC edition comes out this week, so we're still on the hunt. And also, Phil Steele, maybe the most famous preseason magazine, he is sending his magazine to be printed within about a week to 10 days, somewhere in there. So Phil will be later, but Athlon and Lindy's by the weekend. If you want them for our listeners, they will be on the shelves.
Any surprises in any of those magazines that you've read so far?
No, not really. I mean, both Athlon and Lindy's has Georgia, Florida, and Missouri as your top three in the SEC East. In the SEC West, it is Alabama, A&M, and LSU. So that's pretty much not surprising for the Athlon and Lindy's top 5. It's basically the same. Some configuration of Bama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Georgia. And then the Gators and Athlon are number 11, and Lindy's Florida is number 12. By the way, Miami, well thought of, and Athlon, they are 14 in both publications. So a lot of people thinking in those magazines that the Canes will have a good season.
We got a Facebook Live question here for you, Brent, brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John asks, when a player chooses to transfer, do the coaches block certain schools like they used to, or is it just free agency now?
I don't think they block anyone now. I'll put it this way. I have not heard that in years. Now, is there something that goes on behind the scenes that could possibly happen with that? Maybe, but it's no. Good point, Shane. It's not like it used to be. It's pretty much you can go wherever you want to go, and this was one of the concessions given to players over the last few months and even years, is that would not happen again. Most of these situations, unless it's just an isolated deal, for what we understand and have seen over the last few months and years, is that they are not blocked from going anywhere. Now, when the coach sits down with them, they may discourage them from going somewhere, but there's nothing official.
If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, I have all of the above. You need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call them today. That's QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, we'll be joined later in the program, former Gator All-American tight end Ben Troupe. Brent, we talked a little bit last week about some of the kickoff times and who's playing who. More times have come out. You know, I know they have the week 0 and all that, but the one game that I saw that just blew me away, and I don't know if it's a typo or not, are the Oklahoma Sooners going to Tulane this year?
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. Was in a discussion this week about that, and they are. This is probably one of those 2-for-1 deals. And look, what I understand is they're playing that game on the Tulane campus. Yeah. So, in other words, they're not going to the Superdome. That they're actually playing on the Tulane campus. So, no, that was not a typo. That they are, and a lot of people, as that game gets closer, they'll be very surprised to see that. But that will be very interesting. And look, I'm not saying Oklahoma will lose the game, but frankly, I give Tulane and that coaching staff a lot of credit. They're a lot better than they used to be. So as far as an opener goes, Oklahoma needs to be careful with the football and do not give Tulane a lot of chances to score with a short field.
Yeah, and John says here that's no different than UF going to USF. Well, it is, because Florida's going to be playing in a big stadium, and we're doing that basically because you have the fan base in Tampa. Oklahoma doesn't. They may get 1 or 2 kids from New Orleans, but when I tell you Tulane Stadium seats maybe 40,000 people, I couldn't believe they're going there. It's unbelievable, actually. Any other games that are early in the year stand out to you, Brent?
Let me give you just a couple of highlights of the early games. In week 0, Hawaii and UCLA is on 3:30 on that time. Now they've got lower division game with Alcorn State, North Carolina Central from Atlanta at 7. We'll have the week 0 full list soon, but Nebraska also plays on that day too. And now the Labor Day schedule is very interesting. and this is something that a lot of people may miss, but ESPN has got about 5 days of football. There are actually 6, but that Ole Miss Louisville game, I believe that's on ABC. Now, normally the season starts on Thursday, September the 2nd, whatever that Thursday before Labor Day is. This year is the 2nd. What we've got coming up this year is, and look, by then we'll be so interested in football, we'll watch anything, but UAB and Jacksonville State is on ESPN on, get this now, Wednesday, September the 1st at 7:30. Now, on Thursday, September the 2nd, Boise State at Central Florida is the ESPN game. You've got East Carolina and Appalachian State. Also, South Florida at NC State. And don't forget, 2 interesting games, Bowling Green at Tennessee. That will be on the SEC Network. Now, this is Josh Heupel's first game. And then on that Thursday night, Ohio State goes to Minnesota. And frankly, a fairly important Big Ten game. And then on Friday, you've got North Carolina at Virginia Tech at 6 o'clock on ESPN. And then you've got Michigan State at Northwestern. So, and Shane, we haven't even got to the Saturday, Sunday, Monday stuff yet. Does that whet your appetite a little bit?
It does, and I love some of these Group of 5 mid-majors, whatever you want to call them. I love them playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You know, when the MAC does that towards the end of the year, I love it because I don't care who's playing. I just enjoy watching college football. Brent,
sure.
You know, I saw listed there's some Power 5 schools that are playing Group of 5 schools that have a chance of being upset. Talk about a few of those games.
Notre Dame, Cincinnati is huge, and particularly huge for Cincinnati. If they could win that game, Texas plays Louisiana. Now, people may snicker at that game, but look, I think Texas will win, but Louisiana is really good. Oklahoma State at Boise State, Southern Cal at San Jose State. You know, that would make San Jose State season. Penn State at Ball State. Ball State's better than people realize. Indiana plays Cincinnati. Now, look, again, without making this the Cincinnati show, what's important here is Cincinnati has really 2 games they need to win. If they win both those games, they may go undefeated and at least give the committee a decision to make on whether or not to invite them. And then you've got Cal and Nevada. So, look, Shane, those are pretty good games. Certainly well worth watching.
Well, I tell you what, like you said, tip your hat to the Cincinnati Bearcats. I mean, you know, as you mentioned, they're playing Indiana and Notre Dame. Those are huge games for them. I think most people expect them to win the league they're in. But as you mentioned, those are some scary games for those other teams. Brent, the dead period is over. I know I can't remember if it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I know Florida had a bunch of kids on campus for junior day. Looks like college football recruiting is getting back to normal.
Yeah, this really should have been overturned months ago, but it was the longest dead period that we've ever had, which what we're talking about is now that the dead period is over, and it was over on June the 1st. Now, some of the schools, i.e. Florida State, actually had a midnight madness to where at 12:01 they had some activities for some of the recruits, and they made a big deal out of that, which at that point you should. But what this means is that prospects now can walk inside the facilities, they can visit the campus, make an official visit, and also college coaches can, they'll have a lot of camps going on as they host these players. Now, during the season, some of the players on their own dime made some visits, but this is where you've got the whole shebang. Shane, I know we went through this yourself and family, and you know what's all involved with this. And when you can officially do it now, and it just you get all the tours, you get the academic stuff that goes along with it. You meet the coaches, So it's a big deal, and believe me, these schools, coaches are really, the red carpet is out for these recruits.
Yep, there's no question about that. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. June is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan MR hotline. If you've got a question for Brent, shoot it to us on Facebook Live or on the Titan MR hotline, text line, hotline, same thing. Brent, Mannings, they're all retired, but they still have their little passing academy. I want to say they used to have it at Nicholls State. I'm not sure where they have it now, but they got a bunch of college quarterbacks that come in and help be like mentors to these young kids. Talk about some of the kids that are going to be there.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the Manning Passing Academy. This is all the Mannings included, with obviously Archie and Peyton and Eli and Cooper. And now one of the big to-dos of the Mannings, obviously, is Arch, who is the grandson, who will be one of the most recruited players in the history of college football. But again, some of the counselors, Miles Brennan of LSU, Matt Corral of Ole Miss, J.T. Daniels of Georgia, Dylan Gabriel of UCF, Sam Howell of North Carolina, Max Johnson from LSU. So we actually have two LSU players who are going to be there. Harrison Bailey of Tennessee, Connor Basilak of Missouri. Bo Nix is also going to be there. Hopefully Bo will get a few tips when he's there too. That will probably help him, frankly, from Shane and I. But look, this is a big deal. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of grown in stature over the years, and they actually have, Shane, if you can believe this, reporters will be there to write some stories on it. So it's July the 15th through the 18th.
Yeah, the good thing about this camp, not only is it for young kids, the young quarterbacks, the middle schoolers, the high schoolers, but these college kids that go and help at the camp, they also end up doing a little competition among all of them that I think is pretty cool. Brent, we got a Facebook Live brought to you by Melvin Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And I spoke about this, I believe, yesterday or on some show I was on. Scott asked, Brent, how big is the Alabama-Florida game in September? Can Florida win this one? Brent, my thoughts are it's huge. However, if you're going to lose a game, losing to Alabama is better than losing to Georgia. Because if you beat Alabama and you lose to Georgia, you still ain't going to Atlanta.
Right. Well, as Shane said, obviously the Georgia game is a divisional game. And if you lose to Alabama, look, I'll say this: if that game is discussed by the College Football Playoff Committee, Florida is not going to lose many points in the eyes of the committee by losing to Alabama. I mean, look, that gets you a lot of credit with the committee just to be able to play a game like that. And listen, Bryce Young, that will be his first game on the road, the new starting quarterback at Alabama. And when you're, Shane, you remember this in college and NFL, when you're on your first road game, there's probably that's probably a real challenge for a new quarterback. So keep that in mind. It's a tremendous game. I wish it was a night game. Frankly, it's a 3:30 game on CBS. So bring the sunscreen for everyone who's going. But I'm with you. Florida will not be severely penalized by any stretch of imagination by losing that game.
No, not at all. No, I agree 100% with that. We got a Facebook Live brought to you by Melvin Law. Dan asked, I know Florida has 100% capacity for football this year. Will all the SEC teams be at 100%, Brent?
That's what I'm hearing at this point, or at least it's very close to that. There's a different one that comes out every day and says that they're going to be at 100% capacity. So if it's not, it's very close. And again, it's a great question on a lot of levels. And believe me, a lot of these athletic directors want to go ahead and get that in the pipeline and make their fan base be aware of that because let's also be honest, they need to sell tickets. And the sooner you let your folks know that you can have a full house, the more tickets, obviously, that you're going to sell, and you're going to get fans thinking, okay, if they're opening this thing up for everybody, that sounds like it's going to be safe, which I think it will be. So let's go and get in the excitement. So I really do believe at some point, and probably the SEC will announce this just for public relations purposes, that every school in the league will be open 100%.
Yeah, we got a text on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Daryl. He said, with Trevor Lawrence now as a Jaguar, what's the Clemson quarterback situation? Isn't it the DJ? I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah. We'll learn by the way by the time the season's over, we'll be able to pronounce it. Everybody calls him DJU.
Yeah,
it's basically Ungalalia or something akin to that.
That was pretty good.
I'm pretty close, I think. But look, this guy's a real talent. He played some last year, obviously, when Trevor had the COVID situation and did fine. He's a good runner. I mean, Shane, you remember seeing the kid. I mean, he's what, 6'4", 6'5"? I mean, he's a huge specimen, to say the least. But they need to keep him healthy. You worry about a situation like that. But look, if he gets hurt, but as usual, they have tremendous talent, tremendous roster, so they'll be fine.
It's crazy how big these quarterbacks are, Brent. I mean, I signed my scholarship. I was 6'2", 165, and when I graduated, I was 6'3", 180. I wouldn't even be recruited nowadays. They're so dang big. It's crazy. We got a text on the Titan MR text line for you, Brent, and it's from Jimmy. Jimmy says, I heard on a talk show the other day, I can't remember who it was, but the gentleman said that Georgia will win all their games by double digits this year. Do you agree with that?
No, because first of all, they start with Clemson. I'm not sure anybody's going to beat Clemson by double digits.
Well, I think what I think I misspoke. I think he said that they said all the SEC games they have on their schedule.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, look, even with that, I mean, it would be easy to say so. Because of who they're bringing in, and they had two big pickups that we'll get into in a minute. But I'm going to say no, simply because, listen, man, you've got to be up every week when you're playing in the SEC, and you've got, they're going to be up for Florida, and they're going to be up for Auburn. But look, in this league, Shane, as you know, man, you've got to be up for Missouri and everybody else. During this time, I mean, Georgia lost to South Carolina a couple of years ago in a game they never should have lost. So, but they've got maybe the best roster they've had, and that's saying something. And particularly with the addition of Eric Gilbert that they've had over the last few days. But and also Darian Kendrick from Clemson. You'll hear a lot about that, because the hype train for Georgia winning the national championship, by the time we get to August, will be firmly out of control.
Yeah, before we go around the league, I want to give a shout out to two of my former teammates who are up for the College Football Hall of Fame, Eric Rhett, running back, and Brad Culpepper. I think this is his third year on the ballot. I'm not sure if either one of them gets in this year because of who else is on that ballot, but it's still a tremendous honor.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I enjoy voting in this every year. And again, I mean, you just really have to sit and look at this Peter Warwick's on it. I mean, you've got Andrew Luck. I mean, it's just Eric Berry from Tennessee, Michael Crabtree from Texas Tech is on it, Warwick Dunn, Garrison Hurst from Georgia. So, listen, Shane, trying to narrow that down. I mean, and LeVar Arrington of Penn State, Reggie Bush of Southern Cal. It's a coin flip sometimes just to try to figure out who to vote for.
No doubt about it. All right, Brent, go around the league. Let's start in Tuscaloosa. Any good news coming out of there?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. Alabama, they have lost one of their punters, Charlie Scott, who is the brother of J.K. Scott. He is in the transfer portal. Part of that reason is because they got a transfer from Troy, Jack Martin, and they struggled in punting last year. That was a real weakness for them. They didn't have many, but that was one of them. One of their outside linebackers, Jurass Parks, he is transferring. He's not officially in the portal yet, but he's not on the roster, so there's a little bit of question there. But what we're hearing is he probably won't be back. The biggest thing for Alabama this week was Keelan Robinson, who is really a tremendous running back wide receiver, is in the transfer portal. He won't be there long unless he just wants to be, because this kid could start for a lot of schools in the SEC, but that Alabama running back room is so loaded that some kids just read the writing on the wall and they decide to try their hand somewhere else.
Yeah. Brent, we got another question for you. Back to the College Football Hall of Fame. Dan asked, was Andrew Luck really that good in college?
You know, that's a really good question, because some of these guys are actually, they make the college that vote probably because of their pro career, and people just assume that they were tremendous. That's a good question. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's safe to say he had a better pro career than he did college career.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Brent, I saw where Arkansas, they're going to try to, in a few years, they're going to be playing the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, they were supposed to play Notre Dame last year, but COVID obviously altered the schedule. So they're going to be playing in 2025 at Arkansas, and 2028 at Notre Dame. So anytime you can schedule Notre Dame, you want to do that. So they are able to get that game in.
You know, it's interesting. I look at your notes, and it seems like every school you scroll through, so-and-so is entering the transfer portal. Is there not one team in America that doesn't have people in the transfer portal?
I'm sure there is, but right now I don't know who it is, and the numbers vary from day to day. I mean, the trouble is there are thousands of kids in the portal, and the problem is, and I heard this last week, that the difficult thing about the portal is there are a lot of kids in the portal who are either walk-ons or guys who probably won't be able to play much at all, and they may never, unfortunately, get out of the portal. So, look, the grass is always greener sometimes, and people think I'm going into the portal and my life will be so much better. And I'd love to say that it is, but Shane, there are no guarantees when you get in there, is it?
No, not at all. Brent, let's jump down to the Gators. Coach Mullen is now the third highest paid coach in the SEC. I think the fifth highest paid in the nation. Were you surprised at that at all?
No, because and they were pretty timely on it. They announced it on June the 1st. They wanted to get a message out to recruits and let them know that he wasn't going anywhere. So they gave him. And look, when you beat Georgia and you go to Atlanta and you give Alabama the closest game that they played the whole year, I mean, you deserve a raise for that. And now, look, when you're looking at Mullen, I think you've got to look at you've got to look, with some balance. It's not just what you do on the field. I mean, a lot of reporters in the AP story about this raise and the extension also mentioned the problem they had with the NCAA. Also mentioned some of the press conferences. And look, there are some things that Dan needs to clean up. I think he knows that. I think he's admitted that. We know what the basement is for Dan Mullen. I mean, look, if when Dan Mullen's coaching a school, it's not going to be any worse than 8-4 or 9-3, which is pretty heady stuff. But in this league, Gator fans want more. I get that. and I think they'll have that. Now, one thing that was not really mentioned that I'll say real quick, and help me on this if you've heard that it changed, but what I've seen and heard is that the buyout remains at $12 million, which now the Orlando Sentinel said that that Florida would owe Mullen $6 million in the first 30 days if he was fired, and then he would be owed the rest of the buyout and annual payments over the next 6 years. So that's one thing that really wasn't talked about that much, Shane, was that basically the buyout was not affected by this.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Georgia got Eric Gilbert. I think he's going to play wide receiver for Georgia. They also got Kendrick, the DB, who's a really talented kid from Clemson. You know, a lot of football has to be played, but this could be Kirby's most talented football team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that, and a lot of it is because of the transfer portal, too. I mean, he recruits well. Now, look, there are a couple of caveats with Gilbert and with the Clemson transfer. One is, and I like to give kids the benefit of the doubt to be fair with them, but there's some academic questions here for Gilbert, and you've got to be able to have a certain progress toward a degree, and I'm sure Georgia, I'm sure they add him to the roster or will add him to the roster after the transfer stuff is cleared up by the presidents and chancellors with the knowledge that he would play. But that's just one thing to keep in mind. Hopefully he'll get that done. Now, Deron Kendrick, there are a couple of things here. One was he was actually suspended at Clemson a couple of times. We don't all know why, but he was also charged, and this is public knowledge in reports, he was charged at one point with carrying a pistol and misdemeanor possession of marijuana. I'm guessing that will be cleared up soon if it's not. But and the other guy that Georgia added was Tyke Smith from West Virginia, who I think may be their best addition overall. So the point here is, and I think what you said is very true, is as a roster with just plain football players, this Georgia team may be the best team they've had, without having too much hyperbole here, since they won the national championship with Herschel.
Yeah, there's no question. Well, Brent, we ran out of time. Hold your nuggets for next week. We got to get to Ben Troupe, get his thoughts on the Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs and Tim Tebow and a lot of other things. But we appreciate you taking the time to join the program. Have a good weekend, my man.
You too, Shane. Thank you. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program. We'll come back. We'll be joined by All-American tight end Ben Troupe. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker, M.M. Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Les Macarons French Pastries, Kilwins, and coming summer of 2021, The HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Tailgate and a rooftop bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline. We're going to be joined by All-American tight end, number 84, Ben, the real number 84 of Florida, Ben Troupe. Good morning, Ben. How are you, my man?
Man, always good to be on what you're saying, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, before we get into talking about different subjects, let everybody know, I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on right now. You do talk radio. I think you write books. You're a motivational speaker. Let everybody know what's going on with Ben Troupe.
Man, blessed, man. 2020 was an opportunity for me to get off procrastinating. You know how it is, Shane, man. When you, as grown men, you know, when you add things to your, to your reputation or your repertoire persona, like, father, husband, you trying to be like, all right, what can I do? So a friend of mine, Miko Isidore, reached out to me about doing a children's book. And she kind of finessed me. I didn't know she was calling me to do a male character. She had Jude, and she was like, you ever thought about doing a John character? I was like, yeah. She's like, your dad named John. I'm just saying, yeah. Then she goes, you want to do a John character? And I was like, oh, she just, so that's how Judy and John came about. And as far as like, the speaking, that was something that really got started way back when I was at Florida with Ron Zook, and just, he would always tell me, if you ever just known of being a football player, being Troupe, you have failed yourself. He would always tell me that. And I'm like, and this only came about because, Shane, I'm pretty sure y'all was doing the Shane Hospital visits when you was at Florida. I did it, but they had my name on the list twice. And I did the 19-year-old thing of telling Ron Zook I already went to Shan's. And he went off on me, telling me that because in his mind, he was like, oh, so you think you fulfilled your obligation to these people. So the speaking is always been fun to me, only because I never saw myself standing in front of no crowd. I ain't even want to be the guy calling up the team. The coach was like, hey, man, call them up. Yeah, I ain't even want to do that, when I was at Florida. So to see where I am now with the radio, with the books, with the speaking, with my nonprofit, the Uncommon Crew, I'm just doing what's in me to do, Shane, because with us, I mean, the older I'm getting, I'm realizing if I don't do stuff while I'm motivated to do it, if I move past that, I ain't coming back. There will be no being, let's go back to if that, as my dad say, once that young man is out you ain't looking for him, he ain't looking for you.
That's good stuff, man. All right, well, let's jump into it before we talk Gators and Tebow and the Jags and things of that nature. I want to get your thoughts. I don't know if we've spoken with you since, I know it was maybe during the pandemic, but Kyle Pitts, Warrior number 84 at Florida, just a freak at the tight end position. Obviously, most people say they've never seen anybody like him at that position, which is pretty much true. How do you think he's going to translate for the Falcons?
I think he's going to be great because of who his quarterback is. The thing about Matt Ryan that's not being talked about enough is Roddy White was not a good receiver until Matty Ice got there. Because Michael Vick had Roddy White. Then you look at what he did for Julio. You look at what he did for Tony Gonzalez. I'm not saying these guys don't have talent, but Shane, you know this. When a quarterback is demanding on these receivers and tight, it makes you better. And that's the one thing I had to realize when you talk about a guy like Kyle Pitts is he has all the talent. I mean, this guy went to the man pool and dove in. I mean, he got everything. 6'6", 245, runs a 4.4, the longest wingspan ever as a tight end. But if he don't make a quarterback like Matty Ice, who already, a regular season MVP, put up the numbers, the greatest quarterback, and if he ain't demanding on Kyle Pitts can become a good player. He can become a great one because of Matty Ice, because Matty Ice has already had Tony Gonzalez. You think Kyle Pitts gonna have that type of career? So I do think that because he went to Atlanta, a team that's gonna not make him become something he's not. The guy Hayden Hurst and all those guys, I think Kyle Pitts could be as good as he want to be. I don't feel good about number 11 having to leave town, but if you keep Julio, you can't pay the rookie. So I think Kyle Pitts, man, is the new wave of tight end. Just like Dirk Nowitzki is the reason why there ain't no more big men in the NBA. 7-footers want to shoot threes. I think Kyle Pitts can be on that, be that, the Darren Wallers of the world, the Travis Kelce's of the world, the Zach Ertz of the world, to be able to say, hey, man, he looks like, the dude built like a small forward, but he runs like Usain. So go out there and utilize what he does. And I think Kyle Pitts, man, I'm happy he went to the Gators because thank God I couldn't have dealt with it if he went to one of these other schools. But I think he's going to be great. I think Matty Ice is going to show him, hey, look, man, you great. But if you can't be great week in and week out, it's not going to matter.
That's true. Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris during mornings today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Ben Troupe on the Tight Tomorrow Hotline. Okay, sticking with the tight end position. Oh, Timmy Tebow playing tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Give me the thoughts of a guy who did it at the National Football League level. Can Tim make it?
If he didn't have Urban Meyer, he wouldn't make it. But the thing about it is, Shane, it's more than just him wanting to come back. I mean, how many times can a player, a guy who hasn't been playing that long, call a head coach and say, "Hey, coach, can I get a tryout?" He goes, "Yeah," and then the coach says things like the coaches said he wowed him. He looked. I said, coaches don't say stuff like "wowed me." They see players all the time. Can Tim Tebow make it? Yeah, he can make it. But can he make it in terms of how other players have to make it? No. Like if Tim Tebow had to do it how it was supposed to be done, not a shot. Because, like I said, I mean, when you start thinking about the fact that how hard it is just to get a tryout, how hard it is just to compete. If I've been playing the same position my whole life, it's hard. But Tim Tebow, people say he's in shape. Okay, well, he eats right. He keeps himself in shape. He can run. Okay, that's never been a question. But what does it say about guys who's a free agent tight end that can't get a phone call, that can't get a tryout? And right now, I think it's much to do about nothing only because, it is a 90-man roster. But Tim Tebow is going to make it to the final cuts. And Urban's going to try to convince, to me, that coaching staff that, man, he can help this locker room, for which I don't even see how that's even a realization because you ain't talking about young men. You talk about grown men. And Urban needs to understand you're not going to rewrite the script as they become the coaching in the NFL. I think what happened with the Chris Doyle situation, he needed some good publicity. So Tim Tebow kind of can get him far away from that. But I don't see Tim Tebow making the team only because Tim Tebow is, one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player ever to play college football. He's definitely in the top 10. But went to baseball, didn't work. Now he's coming back to football because him and the head coach are not good friends. They might be best friends. And I ain't never seen nothing like that. But Shane, just like I know, Urban Meyer, when it don't work, the same thing he was praising Tim Tebow for, and Trevor Lawrence saying ain't nobody gonna work harder than Tebow. I'm like, Trevor, how do you know that? How do you know ain't nobody gonna work harder than Tim? People don't even say stuff like that. And just because you stay late and come in early and do extra catches, that's just football. I mean, this is your profession. I mean, where else you got to be? I'm rooting for him, because I understand. But at the same time, I just don't like the fact that we can't criticize Tim Tebow because he's this great human being away from football. I'm talking about Tim Tebow, the football player, the guy that played 2 years in Denver, fizzled out, went to New York, didn't make it. Now he's back 9 years later because him and the head coach live in the same neighborhood. I think that kind of stuff is crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, just take your experience. I mean, you were a really good All-American tight end at Florida. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make from a position you had played your entire life in the greatest sport or the greatest football league there is in the world with the best players? What was the hardest thing for Ben Troupe to adjust to?
Really, really understanding that just because I got drafted didn't make me a professional. It made me a pro, but it didn't make me a professional. Because I played with Kevin Carter. I played with Kevin Mawai. I played with Keith Bullock. I played with Derek Mason. I played with Aaron Kinney. And the thing is, too, think about it. You at the University of Florida. So at the University of Florida, that's one of the biggest brands in sports. You can take college out of it. You start thinking that you've arrived, but you have to realize that, I played with Mike Munchak, the Hall of Famer Mike Munchak. He was coaching the offensive line, and he goes, "The problem with y'all young players is y'all just you just want to know what you do, not the concept of what everybody does. What do you got on this play? Not what is the quarterback looking at? Why did he check out of this play? What's going on the backside? What's the blocking scheme?" And I'm like, well, why should I know that? Because you should. You understanding the concept of a play. So me, it was learning concepts and not cheating the game because I think some of my best teammates, I didn't realize it when I had them. Keith Bullock this dude didn't play the radio. He was direct. But what he was trying to get me to realize was man, this is it. There ain't no second chances. There ain't no oops, my bad, coach. He said, every day we walk out there, man, we got 11 eggs in a basket. You got to make sure these eggs don't crack. But you got to hit people. I'm like, how am I going to do that? He said, that's football. And when I understand it now, I look back on and say to myself, once I became a professional, it was this. I didn't have no kids when I was in the NFL. I wasn't married. And somebody asked me one time, "Ben, you got kids?" You're like, nah, I'm good. One of my teammates after the interview said, "Yeah, you do, because I got kids. Yeah, you do, because he got kids." I'm like, "What you talking about?" He said, "Because what happened to you happened to us, happened to my kids." And I realized, dude, you carrying the hopes and dreams of an organization through the tight end position. And I ain't never understood. I thought it was just a quarterback or the head coach. So that was my main thing, is just understanding that don't cheat the game. Understanding, man, when you drop that pass, now we might not make it to the playoffs because of that play. I said, dude, plays are that serious? So I think that's what I had to learn, Shane, man, is not taking accountability for what I'm not doing the little things. Because my rookie year, thank God I was a second round pick. Well, there would have been no Ben Troupe in the NFL. Thank God I was the top pick of the team, because I remember my rookie minicamp being a blur. I remember being a lot of four-letter words in my rookie minicamp. But I owe my whole career to Aaron Kenny, man. Him being a former Gator and taking me under his wing is the only reason why I had any inkling of a career in the league.
So let people try to understand. I've talked about my career, but you got the tight end room. There's probably 8 tight ends on the roster right now, maybe not that many, but you're fighting to make a roster. And what do you think those other tight ends who played, they've been in the league? I think O'Shaughnessy's he's been in the league a long time. You got probably some free agent guys trying to make the roster. And then you got a guy who's never played that position, never put his hand on the ground. How do you think all that's going on in the meeting rooms and on the practice field and individual time?
I mean, they playing nice in public because they have to. Because, Trevor Lawrence has spoke about one player, and that's Tim Tebow. He ain't spoke about Travis Etienne. He ain't spoke about DJ Chark. He ain't spoke about Laviska Shenault. I think what O'Shaughnessy and those guys have to do is be like, look, dude, he's probably telling the other tight ends, listen, fellas, is it ridiculous? Yes. Is it, quote, disrespectful? Yeah. But guess what? That's the league. You better play nice in public, because they're watching you because they watching him. Tim Tebow got his own camera. I ain't never seen nobody get let out. They walking out to practice for minicamp or whatever, OTAs. I'm like, what do we want? That's Tim Tebow. That's a Tim Tebow cam. And I think that you realize quickly there's football players and there's polarizing players. Tim Tebow is polarizing. And I just think that they got to play nice. That's another thing too I had to learn. You ain't gonna like 99.9% of the decisions made in football, but you got to play nice. We work on the first floor. Decisions are made on the second floor. Coach come out and say, "Hey, man, we wearing pink today. You better put on that pink. Run on out there. You better not." Because you know how it is, Shane. It's such a small window of opportunity when it comes to the league. And a lot of times you don't know why they cutting you. You don't know why you ain't playing. So I just hope that those tight ends understand, if they don't make the roster with Jacksonville, if you can survive this tight end room with this type of nonsense, coming from a guy who comes with a freaking circus behind him, right, wrong, and different, you'll be all right. Because I don't like it. And I don't like the fact that every time you say something about Tim Tebow, you Judas, you the Antichrist. Like, good Lord, I didn't say anything about him. I'm just talking about him as the player. I just think that that's what the league is. I think that Tom Coughlin had to cut his son-in-law. So, that's the league. And I just think that that's why a lot of guys don't make it. Not because they ain't got the talent. The mindset got to be that you got to have the right perspective first and then let the talent follow.
Yeah, we're speaking with Ben Troupe here on the Titan More Hotline. Switching gears, Ben, I know you do your radio, talk show, all that stuff up in the state of Georgia where you're from. The Georgia Bulldogs getting a lot of love. They're going to – I was talking to Brent Beaird earlier, our college football analyst. I heard some guy, maybe it was on the Paul Feinbaum show, some reporter say that after Georgia plays Clemson, they're going to beat every SEC opponent by double digits. Those Georgia people drinking certain type of Kool-Aid up there?
Oh yeah, and I don't want nothing to do with that Kool-Aid either. That stuff is crazy. And you're right, Shane. It's they get the kid out of Clemson. They get Eric Gilbert. This is the thing about Georgia. And right, wrong, and different. This is the thing about Georgia. Every year is the year, right? When the last time Clemson had to say this to you? When the last time Ohio State or Oklahoma, Alabama, teams that know they got a shot, they don't talk about what they're going to do because you've seen them do it. This is what I know. When it comes to recruiting, Kirby is the man. Now, Kirby Smart can recruit. But when it comes to development, that's a little bit different. Because the whole thing about it is, what happens when it's not the year? I mean, 2018, y'all win in the game when y'all win in the game against Alabama when your offense go to the sideline, you get a big second down stop, and a guy named Tua throw it to a guy named Devonta Smith, and you lose. You know why? Because at the end of the day, can the University of Georgia survive the big moment? Because up until this point, we haven't seen it, right? And that's everybody has that. You know how it is, Shane. I get to talk about you when I'm on the radio. Like, we played together. Like, yeah, we got Shane. So we get to compare and play. I said, who y'all got? Because I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that tradition, right? So when we get to talk about quarterbacking in Georgia, it's a very small list, right? I'll say, give me a Heisman Trophy candidate, and it gets quiet. I said, so let me get this straight. Y'all don't have a Heisman Trophy candidate at the quarterback position. We had a guy that hadn't played football for 7 years. It was a backup, then became the starter because Felipe moved on and was a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm just saying, if Dan Mullen isn't a better coach than Kirby Smart, then why they so nervous about them boys in Gainesville? I mean, I'm just saying, y'all top 1, top 2, top 3 recruiting classes, right? Because Dan Mullen, all-time leading rusher at the quarterback position, that would be Nick Fitzgerald. Most touchdowns by a running back, by a quarterback, that would be Tim Tebow. The last time we had a Heisman Trophy candidate in the SEC East, that would be Dan Mullen. So I just let them Georgia people talk. I mean, they listen. When it come to on paper, oh man, they hoisting up another trophy. But Shane, when it comes to teams that meet the talent threshold, everybody said I knew Florida was going to beat Georgia. Yeah, after we gave up 14 without Kyle Pitts in the second half, it's easy to say what Florida was going to do after they did it. No one thought that Florida was going to beat Georgia, but we'll see. Like I said, we're going to learn a lot about them week 1 because just like I know, Shane, when's the last time Georgia went undefeated in the SEC? They couldn't do it last year in our SEC schedule. So they're going to do it this year? I just don't see it happen. I saw this same Georgia team lose at home to South Carolina with a guy playing quarterback who played receiver. So Georgia will find a way to mess it up, not because they're not good enough, because that's what Georgia does. And until proven it different, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm going to say this, too. Kirby Smart is not a better coach than Mark Richt. People can get mad all they want. He is not. What has Kirby Smart done? Mark Richt didn't go to the national championship my junior year while they lost 1 game. So we'll see. But, yeah, it's crazy right now. I can't go nowhere with all these red F-150s and people barking at me, man. I'm like, man, it's crazy right now.
That's good stuff. Well, Ben, let everybody know how they can listen to your show before we let you go.
Man, follow me at Ben Troupe 84 on all social media outlets, and go to @Pigskin Radio and go to ESPNCoastal.com between 3 and 6 Monday through Friday. Man, gonna be trying to talk these dog fans out off their high horses. They think this is gonna be the year. I ain't never seen it. Unfortunately, Shane, you was alive when they won it, so you did see it. I was born in 82. They won it in 80. I've never seen Georgia win. And if they do win, Shane, I might have to move back to Florida because I cannot deal with these people if they win.
I hear you, my man. Good stuff, Ben, as always. Be safe, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
That's Ben Troupe joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Good stuff. We're going to take our final time out, come back. We'll wrap up this Thursday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar, If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank Brent Beaird and All-American Ben Troupe for joining the program today. Hope you enjoyed it. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe, folks. We will see you tomorrow.